I'm gonna beat you into the living death. Welcome back to Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. UFC 297 is in the history books, and all in all, it was a pleasant enough way to spend an evening. Unless, of course, you were a Canadian man, because then no, it wasn't a pleasant evening for you in the slightest. For fuck's sake, loss after loss for the land of the Leaf in the men's department. Malcolm Gordon loses, Johan Lanus loses, Charles Jourdain loses, Marc-Andre Barriault loses. The whole of Canada is screaming, "Help us, Mike Malott, you're our only hope," and after 2 solid rounds of handling Neil Magny without problem, he proceeds to do one of the quickest 180s that I've ever seen in the sport, gassing out halfway through the 3rd round to the point that he couldn't even stand for the ring announcement. Let me reiterate, this happened against Neil fucking Magny, a man who just got 30-25'd by Ian Gary a few short months ago. John Anik on commentary literally said something to the effect of Neil Magny is a gatekeeper and meant it as a compliment, well, I guess the gates at the Canadian border just slammed shut until further notice. As for the other end of the gender spectrum, circumstances were entirely the opposite, with Jillian Robertson smoking Pollyanna Viana like the blunt she enjoyed post-fight, and Jasmine Jasdavicius delivering the beating of a lifetime to Priscilla Cachoeira. Guess you couldn't eye gouge your way out of that mauling, could you, Pris? Ever thus to dirty fighters, Cachoeira. With the male MMA in Toronto looking a lot like the ice hockey in Toronto, and the women girl powering their way to victory, I guess Canada really is the most progressive country on the planet. A fact that greatly upsets Sean Strickland, better known as the now former middleweight champion of the world. Of course, I didn't have to do any guessing on that one, as the verbal thrashing the American Psycho dished out at the pre-fight press conference did that all by itself. Prior to the 5-round slugfest with Dricus Du Plessis, Strickland showcased his, I just calls it as I sees it, brand of anti-gay bigotry in spectacular fashion at the pre-fight press conference, going scorched earth on a reporter who very politely asked him to elaborate on comments he'd made in the past about failing as a man were he to have a gay son.
We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and some would say...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse...
Are you? Let me know. Are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is the part. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son, and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh, man. Well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no fucking backbone and has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts, you ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself. Move the fuck on, man.
I'm going to do a whole video about Sean Strickland at some point, so I won't dive too deep into it here, but good lord, Sean, your weakness as a man may never be in question, but your weakness in the ability to articulate a coherent argument for your unabashed homophobia is always on full display, making getting beaten by the man in both this picture and this picture all the more ironic. And this picture. Good lord, Dricus, give it a fucking rest already, bud. The very close attrition war between Strickland and Du Plessis had fans pretty evenly divided. Some scored it 3-2 Sean, I myself agreed with the majority decision of the judges who had it 3-2 Du Plessis, and still others who spam Sean be spittin' facts though in the comment section of the aforementioned anti-gay clip had it 5-0 for Sean, but that's mostly because they want to see him become president. Better luck next time, Adolf Hitler. Speaking of tyrannical presidents, Dana White jumped on the mic after the fight to weigh in on Strickland's pre-fight comments, letting the world know just how much of a warrior he is for freedom of speech.
You obviously give a long leash to your fighters about, what they can say when they are up there with a UFC microphone and you are getting into territory of homophobia, transphobia. Like, is there...
I don't give anybody a leash.
Well, I'm saying you...
A leash? Free speech. Control what people say. Going to tell people what to believe. Going to tell people. I don't fucking tell any other human being what to say, what to think, and there's no leashes on any of them. What is your question?
I was asking that question. I'll move on, though.
Yeah, probably a good idea. That's ridiculous to say I give somebody a leash. Free speech, brother. People can say whatever they want and they can believe whatever they want.
Right, sure thing, Mr. Suspend and Fine Nate Diaz $20,000 for a homophobic slur in 2013. Sure thing, Mr. People can bring flags into the octagon, then they can't again, except if they're from Afghanistan. When we're gonna see Natan Levy fight in Abu Dhabi, Dana? Exactly, cut the horse shit.
I'm looking for a hypocrite. Where can I find a hypocrite?
Immediately after Du Plessis' victory, Israel Adesanya was right on cue, continuing to spout his shonen anime protagonist gobbledygook. Of course, I'm not saying that Izzy can't get his belt back, I just find it hilarious that he thinks he's Izuku from My Hero Academia, while sounding more like Xavier Renegade Angel.
My journey back to the middleweight championship of the world shall be a journey inward into the chasms of my mind cave. For within the heavy gold and sparkling jewels, I shall rise like a mighty phoenix, sailing the skies on the wings of the ancient kiwi of New Zealand, writing my story in the stars of glory, with the strength of the ancient Chinese Sifu, unlocking my desire for eternal wisdom.
At least if Adesanya is next up for the title shot, it'll be a drama-free lead-up to that fight, as Dricus and Izzy have always been nothing but cordial with one another.
Yeah, my African brother. Yeah, my African brother. What's up, nigga?
See, they're friends. For yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you're Canadian and fight in the UFC, the ghost of GSP is forever watching and forever judging. Also on UFC 297, Raquel Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva join Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas in the conversation for most boring title fight of all time. Mayra Bueno Silva might not be happy about this fact, but as she looks like she's always on the verge of tears, perhaps she was just hungry or something.